Alright, here's our next project. We're not getting any lighter either. So this is the motor that came to me a few months ago. Had some slight shipping issues. Had to deal with that. These are low compression pistons. It's supposed to be rebuilt, supposedly. And there's the missing fins. I knew we had extra parts. Here's a supply of parts we got. Not too much. Alright, we're supposed to check out the tranny and fix the cylinders and do whatever else I need to do to make it work. And I'm not supposed to make fun of them either. Why did dumbass put white grease in here? Oh yeah, I wasn't supposed to make fun of you. Yeah, too late. It's got dirt in it too. That's nice. Alright. Here's the rotate. It's usually a good sign. This is what a 61 Sporty. Real Harleys can tell by numbers by looking at the number what year it is. Right there tells you the year. You're not that close though. Right there. xlch. It'll be a hot rod bike. Alright, so we're going to pull this out and see what he did in here. He said he wasn't happy with it. So, appears to have in-play in it. Now if you push on this side and check the in-play, we get a better idea. But it really has. Now these early motors, you don't have to do that, this method. Because it has a push rod, the clutch goes this way. So this is actually how much in-play you got, which is quite a bit. The late bikes, you push on this because the clutch goes this way, then you check your in-play. We still have quite a bit, so there's a lot of in-play in this bike. Next thing is we're going to go ahead and into the counter shaft and see what in-play we got here. If I could take this apart before I can see it. Alright, so, supposed to clean it up, and we're supposed to put some pistons in these cylinders that are now junk. So we have another set of cylinders to play with. Figure it out. Meantime, we got a nice set of cherry cylinders for sale if you need them. I think they're low bore. Definitely low cooling. Alright, where's my tools? So the first way you work in the tranny is take the motor apart. Those weren't quite torqued enough. Yeah, those are pretty highly torque. Pinky torque. Yep, pinky torque. Not even that much. Alright, we're not going to make no final comments about the hardware being loose. Got a lot of dust on it. Probably should blow the dirt off before we get too deep. Now let's get some fancy aluminum tape there. Nice. Always a good start to give your motor a blow job before you work on it. Keeps all the junk out of there you don't want inside the motor. Man. A lot of magic goop on the threads here. Just enough you can't turn it very easily. There it goes. We didn't need that, did we? It went that way underneath the bench. So I'm not sure why we got this nice nasty ones. We got nice new ones on here. Maybe he wants those old crappy ones put on there. I don't think so. That's a bad seal. Yeah, looks like the nut took off. Let's look deeper. Alright, so it appears that the seal has seen better days in here. I'm thinking that might leak a little bit of oil. And my guess is they were unable to get it out. So, probably got some issues there. Now these motors have lots of different seals I've used over the years in these things. They had big flat rubber seals in here. They had actual real seals in here. This looks like some kind of a real seal put in here. And they had nothing in a lot of them too. So we're going to try. Fancy tools. Probably won't work, but we'll give it a try. Alright, a new battery crapped out there. Guess the new batteries aren't that good. Okay, we'll get back on our seal. So this here is a fancy tool. It spreads out as you tighten up here. Just spin this. I'm going to slide here and go boom. Let's see if we can get this thing out of here. It actually worked. Shocked. Most of the time this stuff doesn't work very well. These fancy tools are fancy, but they don't always work. In this case, it worked really good on getting the seal out. We'll keep that for later. You might want to use it at home. Alright. It looks like it didn't damage a hole in it, which is a plus. Looks nice and clean. No pry marks on there. A little bit of here in the top corner, but that's not going to hurt anything. Looks good. Threads look good too, that's important. Alright, he didn't screw it up. That's a plus. I don't think that's the correct line fitting. Most of the time they had 90-degree stuff they use, but it might be correct for this year, who knows. Okay, so I don't see no piston in here. That is not a very good hone finish. Looks like a bore. Bore job. Looks like a bore with no hone. Gaskets look good. Rod feels alright for now. Look what I found in here. What's this? It's an imported weed. Look at the imprint it made on that gasket. That's imported from wherever it came from back east. I wonder if they had a permit to let that in the state. California's picky on their plants. These are pretty tight. That rod's tight. It's supposed to be that tight. Hopefully that's just paper. Appear to want to come up. That's why I didn't want to come loose. Appears to have some type of sealer on there. We'll reuse those. You're supposed to wipe the sealer off before you put the gaskets on. That leaves a high spot for it to leak past. You see me do that in my videos, right? Wipe the gasket surfaces off. This one's stuck also, right there. Luckily it didn't stick very good. Yeah. High spot. To make files for. Yeah, a couple big burrs on there. See that big burr right through there? See that light reflects across it. Probably should do the bottoms too while I'm at it. Okay, let's get the doilies out of the way. That rod's tight. There's a little debris in there. Yeah, the rod is not supposed to be quite that tight. So you gotta do that with your rod to make it drop. Yes, it didn't go down very fast. A lot of grit crap in there. There's absolutely no clearance in this rod set at all. Way too tight. I can barely slide it side to side. It's supposed to be free in there. I'm getting the grease to work itself free. Trying to figure out what they put in the rod to lubricate it, because it's, whatever it is, it's pretty snug. Yeah, you can feel the rollers as you go through the grease. Yeah, whatever they use for lubricant in there, it's all set up hard. It's like a paraffin wax in there now. It's freeing up a little bit, but yeah, that's very bad on the rollers. The rollers won't rotate. If they don't rotate, they slide and destroy themselves pretty quickly. There's a lot of something in here too. I don't know what that is down in there. Something down in there. They put it down fragile. Oh, they got a name on it. It's starting to get a little clearance, but yeah, way tight. New lifters, but not new lifter blocks. Rattle, rattle, rattle. Ooh, that's loose. You can't feel the bottom of the lifter. I can. It's moving all over the place. They're nice and loose. My guess is they bought V-Twin Sifton brand or some other stupid brand of lifters, and they are. The standards come in 2 thou under, so they give you lots of extra clearance. But they're cheap. That's what counts. People like cheap. Okay, we're going to spin the motor through and see if the cam set feels good. Let's get our cam in there. Look at all that debris in there. Hopefully that's just a paper material, but in play, it's good. That part's good. Alright, let's see what this rod feels like. I don't like it so far. Maybe just need some braking miles on it. Definitely help freeing them up a little bit. It's tight right there. Tight spot on the crank. So you're supposed to be able to maybe move it a little bit. In case you think I was showing off. See, that's how it's supposed to go on this side. It's tight right there. Pretty tight. Nice and free. Tight. I'm not pulling very hard, am I? That's tight. See? So this is how it's supposed to be. The rod sits, the flywheel is supposed to make it come up, see? Alright, so there's definitely something tight down in there I don't like too much. Somewhere in there. That's the whole crankshaft sliding side to side. Don't know if you can see it in there, but if you look right here, you can see the movement. You can definitely hear it. So why is that loose? Timken bearing coming loose over here. As it's not in there all the way. This Timken bearing might be loose on the shaft and slid out a little bit. And that's making it loose, or is it tight and you got way too much in play in a Timken bearing? We don't know until you put a tool on there and find out. So one tool. And make sure this goes in a seal without destroying it. I'm going to clean any grit off in here while we're at it, just to make sure. It does not want to go through the seal. Nope. That means I can't tell if it's going to be tight or not. This won't go through the seal right now. I do have to find me a seal and see if this will actually fit into a seal. If not, I'll have to turn it down a little bit. make it work. I shouldn't have to butcher my tool though. You got seals laying around. You never know. There's lots of all kinds of junk around here. Alright, well, we'll go hunt down a seal here in a little bit. We'll be back to that. Let's get back to the tranny. I'm just finding more work to do. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out. See how tight we did these. Not super tight. Yeah, I go about that much more, so I went about that much more torque. Yeah. I tighten my stuff a little more. Got a lot of binding on these screws. They got Loctite on them. I'm not sure which. Or bolts, I should say. I'm going to make this a dry clutch. Auxiliary might not fit in there though. Case looks bad, but I keep pulling tape off. It's a good surface again. Okay, screw in the table here. Bushing's a little loose over here. Yeah, I hardly even got the hit on it. That's no fun. It was all ready to beat the piss out of it, and hardly even had to hit it. Alright, let's see what we got in here. Ooh. Somebody went after that with vice grips, and they couldn't decide where they want to put holes in here. This looks like it's worn pretty rough through here too, and worn. I wonder if he wants me to replace this. He'll let me know. I would. It's me though. Case isn't broken yet. It's a good sign. All right. shifting device. 3/8 punch. Goes right here in the shifter. Allows you to shift the transmission. Somebody's done some custom stuff in here. I don't know why. Shift dogs aren't aligned very well. You can see the gap between that one and over here. See that gets closer when you go up with the gear. So it's a wider gap here than over here before you go up. You see it gets worse. So this shift fork needs to go down lower to make that line up. This one over here, you can see the gap right there. And you can see the gap on this one over here. And you go up, take all the clearance out. You can see how close it gets now with that. This has got a lot of clearance in this here. So this one's too high also. If you want to put the different forks in it, you can take out a shim that might be jammed under here. Can't tell if there is. Or you can machine it shorter. I've done that. This looks like one of them truck cast iron door. Those are cast iron. So this is aftermarket. Sort of had grade 8 bolts stuffed in here. Shouldn't be in there. So this is aftermarket stuff. It's not original. Used to be a stack of original ones laying over here somewhere. Maybe I cleaned up my bench finally and moved them all. Yeah, maybe. Yep. Geez, I actually cleaned up my area. I don't believe it. There's more trap doors over there, so. Yeah, don't see the mechanism I'm looking for. Oh, I know where to get more though. There's what their stock one looks like. So that is a stock mechanism. He's been upgraded. Now this is the late version, being probably in the early 70s. They probably changed that spring style. Before that they had fingers and springs on them. This one's the early one. See how it's got plungers down in there? This one has springs. This is later. But you can see how this is an aluminum one, and this is a cast iron one. That's a trough. And it's got the name written up under there too. Alright, so that's different stuff they've had over the years. Okay, so what else has he done in here? Dogs look halfway decent. You look at the gear faces and look for where any kind of a nick, wear spot, you replace it. When these things break, it takes out these cases. Cases cost a lot more than gears do. This one looks new. It's been used, but not by much. It's the original gear here. You can see the number on it. That must be a standard fork. It says standard on it. Okay, to get this out here, go over here and knock that out. I need to bring a punch for that. Forgot to. Yeah, the little one here should work. Use this one right here. Just beat that right here on the edge. It should pop right out. Pretty loose. I don't know what the hell all that's grinding is all about. Not supposed to be there, I know that. A little mileage used. This training hasn't got too many miles on it. Another standard fork. More new parts. So this here you want to look for any kind of damage on these gears. So if you see anything wrong with them, we get new ones. A little tight, so special removal tool. It's called Gravity. Bushing comes off. That's the spacer actually. Okay, gear still looks decent. Another original gear, it's got a name on it, number on it. Your thrust washers. Dogs all look pretty new. See, it's just got a little bit of wear right there. Not much on the downshift side. Another pretty new part. Worn pretty heavy on this side though. See, it's been dragging real heavy on this side over here. That was dragging. That made a lot of noise. It's been eating on this one for a while. That's what happens when you have the gears too close together and actually engage in there. It's trying to turn. It's going bang against it all the time as it rotates. So it was way too close to this gear here. Probably because they left out one of the washer, the whole thing just sat in real tight. But yeah, they had to make some noise eating away like that. So it's not worn too bad on the other side. I got a little wear, but it's not too bad. But shame they did that. Well. So the counter shaft here, you want to look for any kind of imperfection on the bearing area. And if it's bad, get rid of it. You want to look for deep wear marks right here where the rollers dig in. You see a different color between here and the middle because this is where the rollers dig in real hard. So this one looks relatively smooth. This one's the hardest one here because this one's the one that wears the most because it's a lot smaller diameter. When this one fails, it takes out the bearing. When the bearing goes out, it takes out the gear takes out the case. So you want to make sure you change out these parts when you see anything wrong with them. This one looks good enough. It's used, but it's good enough. So we'll go with that. Bearing feels good. You want to look at the dogs on this one. And you look at the gear teeth and make sure they're good. Get that wiped off because that didn't look good. This one here, the O-ring has to go in here, so you got to make sure this surface here is good. You can see how it's been beat on with a hammer. It kind of wobbles around a little bit. So we're going to have to make sure the O-ring will actually go in there. See how it's got a big... That ain't a gouge, it had a bunch of crap in there. This needs to be cleaned up. When you knock these out, you use a plastic hammer, not steel hammer. If they don't come out, use a press. I can see the teeth a lot easier. This has a lot of wear on it, a lot of rust. See how the teeth are all rusty? It's also worn quite a bit on tooth faces. See all those chatter marks through there? I don't know if that's machine marks or that's bad gear. That's worn there. See all that big low spot all through here. That's where they want to. That's where they'll break at. So I'd recommend changing out this one. If you drive easy, it'll live, but this had a broken gear across here. See how it's all worn? Yeah, this thing was in a blown up tranny, this gear. And this case breaks open, it splits this apart. The distance gets further apart. And these teeth, instead of being like that, go out here like this, and it starts ripping the teeth like that on there. It blows everything to pieces. So this one was through a blown up tranny. And it sat outside and rusted for a long time. So yeah, I highly recommend not using this one, because this can break. It might be some fracture marks in there, you never know. The rest of the tranny looks like it's been all replaced, but this one here has not been replaced, and it should be. So we'll see what he wants to do on that, but that's junk in my opinion. This one here's got a lot of wear on it too, which is not the best, but it'll probably be okay. It's only low gear, so it engages low gear, so it's not bad. So I think it'll be okay. Usually the only time you go into low gear is when you're stopped and going to take off, so it's fully engaged at that point. Not too many people power shift into low gear when they're riding their bike. I do, but most people don't. If this was in one of the higher up gears, I'd replace it too, but being in a low gear like this, I think it'll be fine. So looks like we only got the one bad one over there. The main shaft here is brand new. This gear looks good. Dogs look good. This one will come off. This one's held on with a snap ring. We'll check the bearing fit on this, see how good it is. We know the washer was too thin already. Just like the other gear, we're looking for any imperfections in the teeth. If you see anything, you get rid of it. Alright, looks good. So I have not seen a thrust washer for that gear. I think he left the thrust washer out. So that's why it was so loose. There's no thrust washer. You can see how it was, the grease was sitting right inside the hole over there in the case, which is the case race. Right here. And I bet you those diameters match up just fine. So he never had a washer on here. So that's why it's got so much in play. This washer here goes up inside the race, up in there, like that. So I gotta clean that out, make sure that part's good in there. I'm gonna go clean up all these parts, and then I'll come back and have a better look at things. And I'm still not too happy about how this is tight over here. It's not good. It's a little bit tighter than it's supposed to be. Like I said, it's supposed to be like this. So. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to. So. Yeah. These rods all got rusty from sitting outside. Looks like the flywheels did a little bit too. That grease in there is definitely old as hell inside the bearings. And you still can't see any grease in there, but they were definitely gummy up in there. Yeah, I don't like this too much. It probably would work alright, but you don't know. Me, I'd pull it apart and check it all out and put it back together. Put new greases in there, check all the clearances and make sure it's good. And then find out what that tight spot is. That'll be over in the cam cover area most likely. That bearing looks good. That bushing there felt okay as far as I could tell. The cam cover bushing over here, this one over here was loose. So it wouldn't hurt to replace. I'd replace this shaft too. And just a little clearance. Low drag, right? Low drag. Must be a race bike. Yeah, these things are getting corroded too. Wouldn't hurt to have a new bleed blast job on these also. Alright, that's where we're at for this. We'll go clean up these parts. We'll be back.